Hello and welcome again to our YouTube channel. In today's video from the easy tips and tricks for Photoshop, we are going to extend based on our previous video on the selections, and we are going to see more tools for selection, and we are going to see how the resolution of the image affects our refinement settings for our selection. Okay, let me start directly. We start with this image. As you can see it on your screen, it's a small one, but if we can come to the image size, you can see that it is 3000 by 4000 image. Okay, that's very important because this will affect your refining settings for the edges of the selections. Okay, let me enlarge it a little bit. Control Alt plus. Okay, and let me start. In our previous lecture, we had learned how to use the object selection tool. This great one. Okay, and automatically the algorithms work, and it makes its best selection. You can see that it's making a great selection so far. A little bit of here and there, more extensions that we can solve it. As we said, we are selecting the subtraction tool, so we can select this area. For subtraction, for example, we can select this area for subtraction. The algorithm works again on this area and deselect. You can see this was not a good one, so can make Control Z and return it again. Okay, the algorithms work to deselect or to again on your subtraction or addition based on what, and it's doing a great job. Okay, there's another additional tool here that I can use lasso selection. What is lasso selection? If I deselect the Control D, and then I can come and I mark the area I need to select directly from here. This will help you on more complex selection. So for example, you go like this. Okay, on the edges. Okay, like this one, for example. And the algorithms work on it to get you the best selection. You can see now the selection is a little bit better. If I need to add any part to it, I make additional, and I come here and make the additional here. For example, it will be added. It's making even better than I made it rough with my mouse selection. Okay, and if I need to subtract, for example, I will subtract from here. This area, for example, that I need to subtract, I'll go here like this. I don't need this area in my selection. Okay, don't need this area also in my selection. Okay, now we can see that we had made almost a perfect one. We can go and if you remember from the previous time, we had used the legacy edge refine tool. We can use today the direct refining tool for using select and mask here. Okay, you can see here that that's the feather setting. So I'm going to bring it down for now. That's the smooth, how smooth I need it, and you can see that here you can see that the radius we had selected for the refining our selection, we had used 2 pixels. 2 pixels is very good, but when I'm using small resolution for my image, if I'm using a big resolution for my image, I can increase it. This one and the feather, which is a little bit of shadowing around my image or my selection to make it so I can blend it on another background. For example, I keep it the 0. For example, the feather here. Okay. Now that's my new layer. Okay. Now suppose that I need to make the selection again. I will show another tool to make the selection. Okay, I will turn back to my original image. Okay, I'll stand on it, and I'll be using another tool, which is the Magnetic Lasso Tool. The Magnetic Lasso Tool, it works as its name. It's getting sticking to the edges. You can see it is sticking to the edges. Okay, if one point I don't like it, I make backspace and then I go refine the edges again. You can see how it is moving. It's sticking if it can stick. If it cannot stick, if it cannot detect the edge automatically, it's waiting for me to make the selection. Maybe it's a little bit taking time, but in some images, when you are having something like hair or details of a face or something like that, or little details, you need to use this tool because you can increase your image, the view of your image, zoom it and start using this tool. As this tool having two very important keys that make it a perfect tool. One of them is increasing the resolution of your image or increasing the view of your image to make it zoom, close zoom. And the second one is to move slowly as you move, as far as it will be able to magnetically detect the edges. Okay. So okay, I think you got the theme of the idea. So backspace here, I don't like this point, I'll come bring it here. Okay, and so on. As long as it detects the algorithm can detect the edges, it's moving automatically. Okay, until I close my image, and now I'm having the selection. It's a little bit better, maybe a little bit better selection, but that's another tool. You can use it in different projects. Okay, now selection is selection. It is the same. So I'm going to use here again the select and mask. Okay, and here I'm going to increase the radius, the edge detection radius, increase it a little bit, or increasing too much, for example, not a little bit, yeah, because I'm having my image is 3000, so I'll increase it to 50, for example, and I'll keep the other settings as it is. Okay, and it will be out also, as I told you, it's good to make the output to a new layer so you can compare your selections. Okay, that's my new one. Okay, now you can see that if I increased here, I make zoom in here, you can see how is my selection here, and I can go to the previous image. Okay, and you can see how rough is my selection here. That's because when I selected smooth, I had increased the radius of my edge detection to match the size of my image. So for example, at least you needed to make it 1%. So if it is 30, it is 30 versus 3000, so it is 1%. I use it 50 to increase the smoothness. You can see the difference. Now the smooth is the same, but you can see the difference. Now it is more smooth when I had this selection with using that I increased the filter. Here it's more rough, my selection. Okay, now if I return again here, okay, and I'll go for a quick selection now to show you another trick. Now if I make like this is the lasso tool. Okay, well, it's good. It's not bad. You see that the effect on the zooming is a great one. Even now, while you are zooming and I'm selecting the subtraction, you can come here and select this area, for example, that you need to subtract. You can go. You can see. You can go a little bit down inside in the details when you are increasing the zooming. Okay, now I come again to make select. Okay, I'm not stopping at the perfect layer, so I need to stop at my perfect layer. The other layer is not appearing, so I was not selecting from it. I was just standing on it. You need to take care of this trick in Photoshop. Which layer is you're standing on, which layer you are making the selection, and which layer is you're making the saving. I don't like this area also, so I need to take it out. Okay, so now I come to select and mask, which is important. We're going to say Now I need to add some feather to my selection. As I told you again, the feather is used to give you a little bit shady area around your picture, so you can blend it on a different background. So I increase the feather here. If I make it to 8 pixels or 9 pixels, it will not. I'll make it 10% as I told you. So I'll go to, that's too much. I can write it directly here to 30. Okay, and then I'm saying okay. Okay, you can see this effect, which is the feather. This allows you to blend it perfectly with new backgrounds. Okay, so let me try this trick now. Control Shift N to make a new layer. Okay, and I will fill it with this blue color I had selected. Okay, and then I'll make it clouds as I like, cloudy as I like. Okay, now I need to bring, I will start one by one. If you remember, this last one we had used the feather effect. So I'm going to bring it on top here. Now you can see the effect of the feather. If you decrease the zoom a little bit, you can see your image from a distance. Okay, now that's the effect with the feather. Okay, now we can remove this one with the feather. I'll bring this one, which is refined using the edge as 50. Okay, and then you can see it also in a close one, if you like this one. And then I take this out and bring this one, which was more rough, and take this out. You can see how rough it is coming, and you can see its effect on the background. So the feather, the contrast, and the edge detection, the size of the edge detection will you need to make a selection based on what you are going to do with the part selected from the image, and it depends on the size of the image. So if you are working with 1000 by 1000 image, these settings will not fit on 3000 by 3000 or 3000 by 4000 image. So you need to be aware of the size of your image while you're making selection. Thank you for following so far. I hope you had learned some great tips and tricks for today. Join, subscribe, and